Man, I love being famous on social media, don't you?
We're not. So I wouldn't know.
Welcome back to Nonsense and Nothingness, podcast about anything but
anything.
Anything at
goes.
all. It's been a little while since we've been here.
It has. There's been a lot of crazy stuff been going on.
There's been tornadoes.
Mythical bunnies.
AKA Easter. Just if you're listening to this in like a year and you're like, what?
Like, wait a second. But Easter just happened for us.
Yeah, it's been a busy time, but we're out here staying alive, and we're back. We know you missed us.
Yes.
I missed us.
I'll have to think about it.
All right, good. I'm glad you're on the same page. But anyway, we're gonna hop into things and see where it takes us, which is what we always do. So strap in for the ride.
Never failed us before.
You're here for 60 minutes, just like us. Once you click on this video, you're stuck. That's how it works.
Click off.
You can't.
We know when you do.
And
YouTube analytics is a thing.
Yeah, the YouTube analytics are real. We know We know your IP address. We know where you live.
And we'll come get you.
Not really, though. Okay, we're going to dive into Whiskey of the Week. And we've got
we have something special here.
Doozy.
We have something very special. So my roommate has heard about our podcast, and he wanted to donate to the cause.
What a guy.
And we might as well start calling this segment, What's the Worst Whiskey Money Can Buy? Because that's what this is.
I like to call it shitski.
Shitski.
Personally.
This is a perfect example of shitski. This is Heaven Hill.
Which sounds great.
Quality House, mild and mellow, Kentucky blended whiskey. Okay. It's 40% alcohol by volume. Okay, so that's 80 proof.
Great.
And I did not let Connor read the back of it because I didn't want Connor to know what he's about to ingest in his body. But I decided we're going to reveal this on podcast.
Okay, good.
So on the back, it gives this little warning.
Okay.
This product is a blend of 20% Kentucky straight whiskey, which is 3 years old, and 80% grain alcohol spirits.
Oh, no.
This is not 100% whiskey. This is definitely 20% whiskey and the rest Everclear. So, in case you haven't noticed or guessed, this is a $2 pint of whiskey.
Also, just description-wise, it's in a plastic screw-top bottle, and the barcode
is printed on the label.
Is on the label.
It's printed on the label. It's part of the label, yeah.
So, this might be the first episode where I throw up. That could happen.
It's a beautiful shade of Bud Light, is what it looks like.
Yeah, you're kind of right.
The bottle itself, of course, is plastic, and it's got a gold top. And
I think gold is generous.
What would you call this? A yellow?
I would call
brown?
that a faded mistake. I don't know. It's like a faded mustard yellow.
It feels, relatively solid. These stickers do. At least they can handle.
It's not like our last whiskey. The label was falling off.
Right. This one's better than that. Actually, that one was 6 times more expensive as this one.
You're
so
right.
We're gonna see if we get our money's worth.
But it was
Scotch too, and it was a 5th.
And it was, the quantity was significantly more.
This is something you'd find at a park at 2 a.m.
It's like got maybe a 5th of it left in it, and
Yes.
it's underneath a bench.
Yes,
and it's
you don't get drunk on public drinking this.
No.
This looks so trashy.
Yeah,
it's unbelievably gross.
That you just went through a bad breakup and you started wandering the streets.
Yeah, this is like some homeless man whiskey right here.
But let's pour up and make mistakes together.
Here you go, sir. I'll let you pour out however much you want.
That was far too much.
It's never enough. All right. So
I think one drop of this will forever be enough.
On smell?
Oh, that smells like rubbing alcohol.
It has absolutely no smell.
It smells like I could clean a wound with this.
You probably could. I mean, it's 80% Everclear.
But not that you could, because you could do that with pretty much all alcohols, but like that's what this was almost meant for.
Yeah. At
Was
hospitals
for
now, they
wound.
have like 95% ethanol is what they
Yeah.
use now for hand sanitizer. This is almost hand sanitizer.
There's no complexity. Oh, you
my
went
God.
in. You went in.
Oh my God.
Now I'm scared. I wasn't ready. All right, here we go. You didn't even cheers it. Come
I'm
on,
sorry.
cheers to
Cheers.
it. There we go. I like that more than the McGregor.
Really?
Yeah.
There's absolutely no flavor. That is all alcohol. It tastes like you're just drinking alcohol. I mean, 80% of this is Everclear. You know what I mean?
You know,
Connor enjoys it. Go ahead and say it.
no, I'm not going to say I enjoy it because it's not good. But something with that McGregor from last week had like a hay quality to it. It was almost barnyardish from what I remember.
What would you describe this as? Industrial?
It's very sterile. Very sterile.
That's a good word for it.
And
actually.
I'm okay with that.
It is sterile. It's got a nothingness.
Wow, isn't that fitting?
Yeah, it's got. I mean, there's absolutely nothing here to really go over. Honestly,
What absolute nonsense that there's nothing here.
Dun, dun, dun. Twilight Zone.
But honestly, I thought it was going to be much worse than it is. Don't pick up a bottle of Heaven Hill. Don't get me wrong. Don't do that.
But would you? I mean, is this drinkable?
Oh, it's drinkable. I'd give it a 3.5.
Really?
I'm giving it a 3.5.
Okay, my initial. I'm gonna go 2.7.
2.7.
Yeah.
I like that nice, not round number.
Well, it has possibility to grow. Maybe it'll grow to a nice even 2.75.
Oh, I like that. All right, well, what do we want to talk about this week, Seth?
Ooh. Well, we did get an email
We did.
that I feel like we need to answer because every time we're on it, we say
Please email
please
us.
send us something because we will definitely answer it 100%.
So yeah, let's do that. Let's
pull up the
roll into
emails.
that. But speaking of that, you can email us at nonsense and then a capital N, then nothingness at gmail.com. Send us an email because if you do, we'll respond.
We'll answer it. We're not rich and famous yet.
No, that's what we say. If you email us now, we're going to answer it. So this one comes from a fellow by the name of John. Wonder who he is. Don't know him.
Yeah, I don't know him either.
And he said, and this is gonna get fun real quick.
Mhm.
What are y'all's opinions on Republican representative? My bad, already a little drunk because that's only grain alcohol.
Right.
Representative. How do you pronounce that?
Ilhan Omar.
I know Omar. Ilhan? Okay. Omar's comments on 9/11 as some people did something. As well as Alexandria AOC. Everybody knows who I'm talking about. AOC. And her craziness. Obviously a big fan of AOC. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, to start with, this is obviously extremely
Polarizing.
So, we do need to take our time and not just go bashing people.
No, I think that's what you do in politics.
Well,
right?
it is in politics, but, are we political commentators?
Absolutely. We are political
All right, then
commentators.
fuck them. No. I don't know. Representative Ilhan Omar, her comments, 9/11. I believe she was speaking to a group of Islamic people of the Islamic faith.
Wow,
Muslims.
that is so offensive.
There's one that's an ethnicity.
That's
and one that's
so
a religion.
offensive that you would say that. No, it is
Islamic is the religion.
If you are Islamic, you practice Islam.
And if you are Muslim,
if you are Middle Eastern, a Muslim is a person who practices Islam, whereas like a Christian is a person who practices Christianity.
Right.
If you are Middle Eastern, you are from that typically what is often associated, at least in America, as a Muslim region of the world, which I'm sure is probably Americans being Americans.
Yeah, it'd be weird to go the other way and say like, oh, well, that's a Christian place.
Yeah, but I mean, America, anyone with any sort of eyes whatsoever or perception at all can see that America is founded on Christian principles, and that's woven through our society in a lot of ways.
Judeo-Christian, Connor.
Okay, yes. Judeo-Christian. But yeah, anyone with any sort of perception can see that. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, we won't get into, because I know that there are a lot of opinions about that alone, and we already have a polarizing question.
Right. So to start with, do you remember a lot about 9/11, Connor? I mean, I was 3 years old at the time. I remember the impact of it growing up, but I don't remember the actual thing happening.
Yeah, I mean, we by no means remember the world before 9/11. So like the 9/11 era world, whatever you want to say, or post 9/11 is a world that you and I have grown up in. And so I think there will be, specifically on speaking to this matter, there will be certain things that we leave out, or certain contrasts that we don't draw, simply because we don't know exactly what it was like before 9/11. I will say what I remember of it is, I remember that I was playing with some sort of blocks or Lego. I was playing with something.
Right.
And I just remember my mom crying, and I didn't know why. But I was like 3 years old, so I wasn't watching television. So I was not there and present for the actual event. And I remember my dad coming home early.
Yeah.
Because it was, yeah.
My mom came home early.
Yeah, I think America kind of stopped for a day.
Just took that day and just
as they should have
figured out what was going on.
Yeah. But as far as her comments go, this is one of those things in politics where you look at one political website and it says one thing about how Trump's a racist because he's calling Representative Omar, X, Y, and Z, and how Republicans hate minorities. And then you go to another website and it's calling Omar a terrorist apologist, or sympathizer, or whatever.
Right.
And so I don't think that it's one of those things that is clearly black and white. I would say if things were as it is written here, some people did something. I think that is a gross mischaracterization, as well as a way of minimizing what actually happened.
Right. There's a line with 9/11 that you just don't cross.
Yeah.
People understand, at least in this country, that it's something you don't joke about it. A lot of people lost their lives. A lot of first responders are still feeling the effects of it. It's a horrible thing that happened. And a lot of policy came from 9/11. I mean, we call it a post 9/11 world for a reason. A lot of things changed that day, and it's just something you don't make light of. And she did, and so
especially if you're a leader. I mean, if you're a comedian, you're treading on eggshells. You really are.
But it's a different.
But it's a different vibe. If you are a congressperson.
Right.
Yeah, that's a different. You can't.
Intense, important here.
Yeah, for sure.
Whether you're just trying to get a cheap laugh, or as Ilhan Omar said, she's trying to stir up people's emotions by using this kind of rhetoric, and it's not a good thing.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good look.
It's not a good look when Trump does it either. It's not a good look when anyone uses just generic rhetoric to something very sensitive, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
So she was wrong, and she should apologize. She probably won't, but that's kind of the nature of politics.
Yeah, I would agree. But I don't know that much about Miss Omar, or where she comes from, or what her beliefs are. I know that she is a liberal individual, but beyond that, I really am not super familiar on her as a person. And so it's one of those things where she said that, and it's either going to affect her and her voting base will not vote for her again, or it's not, and everyone's going to forget about it, because that's what happens in this news cycle and in the world that we live in. It's one piece of chaos to the next, to one juicy detail to the next, and I think that's just how that's going to roll. So
Right. So the voters of Wisconsin, which is the state that she represents, will decide if her comments on this, and she's been accused of anti-Semitism and a lot of pretty bad things. So the voters of Wisconsin will determine if she gets to stay or not. But right now, I mean, all we can say is, yeah, it's bad. Yeah, she should apologize. She probably won't. And that's just kind of how politics is played today.
Yeah.
But someone who's been relatively quiet in the news recently is
AOC.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah, she was a ground shaker and mover and everything in between for a couple months there, and now it's a little quiet.
The last thing we heard from her was the Amazon thing in New York, I think.
I don't think I'm familiar.
Where Amazon was going to build HQ2 in
Did they announce that they were going to do it in the Bronx?
Yeah, and then it caused a bunch of like a mini uprising, and the locals were really pissed because that's her district, right? AOC's district. She was like, "We're going to fight the big companies," and they were like, "Okay, well, New York's going to give Amazon a $3 billion tax credit, and we could use that money for other places." And the idea is like, no, like that the tax credit comes from discounts on what Amazon will pay you.
Yeah.
But if you get rid of
not
Amazon,
money, then you're getting nothing.
You don't get $3 billion, right? So misunderstandings about economics and local outrage led to Amazon HQ not being built in New York anymore.
Sucks to suck.
And they're not relocating.
Come to Mississippi if you do decide to relocate.
Hey, Jackson's got a big international airport.
It's a
right there.
There is a lot of land. There's like 50 acres there to sell right by the airport. So,
oh yeah.
I mean,
that'd be awesome.
If there was a strong move,
it's like 25,000 jobs.
That's it.
That
right there.
That would absolutely revolutionize our city.
That would probably employ the entire state of Mississippi. I'm kidding. No.
Anyways.
But as far as her craziness goes and everything in between there, I'm sure it's well intentioned.
I think so.
I don't think she gets much of anything though. Like as far as how the dollar works.
Well, I mean, millennials, what are you going to do?
Well, college should be free. How are we going to pay for that? Well, you just pay for it.
Yeah.
That was her answer.
Modern
you just pay for it.
Theory, Connor. It just says we just run up a deficit until we don't have anything left, which we've already done. But anyways.
Yeah, which is what we're in the process of doing. But anyway, I hope that answers your questions, John.
Basically, everyone's crazy in politics right now.
And so are we.
And yeah. Crazies. Rawr.
Yeah, but hopefully that answers your question. If you've got a question and you want us to do a little bit of a deep dive, send it our way. It's what we're about.
Yeah, that's what we like doing. Politics, it's always interesting. Or if you just have something that you just see out in nature that you'd like an explanation for,
you just snap a pic and send it.
Be like, what's this? That'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, we're very qualified to answer those questions.
Hey, we'll give it our best.
We will. But also, yeah, email us whiskeys that you're interested in trying. Give us a follow on Instagram at Nonsense and Nothingness. We post our whiskeys on there
before we upload them, so you get a sneak peek, so you can buy it and then drink it with us.
Exactly, and spend as much money as we are on a Vice.
Yes,
alcohol.
$2, Heaven Hill. Would recommend.
I mean, yes, Heaven Hill at $2 and McGregor at like 11 or however much it was for that fifth. Yeah, we're not burning a hole there, but some of our early whiskeys, they were Four Roses TX.
Four Roses is not.
I think after these 2 episodes, we're gonna have to go back to a nicer whiskey.
Oh yeah,
we
definitely will.
I can't keep this up much longer.
We definitely will.
But what's next on the docket, Seth? What are we here for today?
Okay, well,
put you on the spot.
As you know, we've had some crazy weather.
Welcome to the podcast. We're going to talk about some weather.
We're going to talk about weather today.
Yeah.
Did you hear about what the local bar, the Bin, did to all the students who were there?
They kicked him out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kicked him out into the middle of the
tornado.
Storm. Which, by the way, I heard the tornado hit where you live.
It was very close. It didn't. I mean, it was on that road.
It was on Blackjack.
Yeah, it was on Blackjack, but it wasn't. It wasn't
It didn't
close
come
to
through.
me specifically.
Yeah. That's crazy though.
Yeah. Well, it was weird in the past 2 weeks. We've just had 2 storms where tornadoes touched down in Mississippi like back to back.
Yes.
Um,
It was weird.
And so that was fun. Canceled school in the middle of the day.
For no reason. The rain didn't even happen until 4.
Yeah, I think it's because they wanted to give people time to get on the road because it was Easter weekend. I don't know.
I guess. I don't know.
But yeah, so that was a fun time for everybody.
It's like a couple weekends for us. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty crazy. And did you hear about the weatherman who gained fame? The local weatherman.
The Starkville weatherman?
Matt, I think is his name.
Yeah.
Matt
Who was he
John.
getting pissed at?
He was getting pissed at John.
John?
John?
John.
John?
You need to look it up. Starkville weatherman.
Yeah, he made it onto Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
Which was so funny.
He was stressed about the weather. He wanted to make sure that his people knew what was going down.
Right.
And John was playing on his phone.
He was not doing his job.
John was being a screw up.
I wonder what John was doing.
We all know John out there.
Oh, I thought you said. I thought you were gonna say we all know what John was doing.
We all know what John was doing. Playing
we?
Candy Crush,
Okay,
probably.
Right, Candy Crush. But that kind of brings me to my next question.
Mm-hmm.
It must be so difficult to be on live TV and be on the spot, like not have a script, be reporting something that's pretty much unpredictable.
Anything could happen.
Yeah, how much pressure do you think that is?
It's probably a decent amount of
to
pressure.
be a local weatherman. That's got to be a really hard job.
Well, it's probably not at all until there's something like a big storm.
Until something crazy.
Because it's typically like, all right, Janice, we're gonna send it to Janice, who's interviewing Mark outside the local Walmart, where a naked man walked in the doors today. Like that's what it is Monday through Thursday, and then on Friday it's like, oh, we've got an active.
But you think like that's a news anchor.
Car chase.
This is a weatherman. His job is just to report like, hey, guys, it's sunny. All right, just scroll to the next guy. But this one moment, this man
where
gets
he's
to
like,
live out
there's
his
like
dream.
potential of 4 tornadoes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a lot. I think the stress was showing for sure.
I would just sweat like through my shirt if that happened.
Oh, I would be sweating it hard.
So nervous if something like that happened.
But
I was responsible, but
I'm not a meteorologist, thank God.
No, but apparently we have a really good program.
We do. Mississippi State has an incredible meteorology program, one of the top in the nation. I think it's
You know what they call them? The meatheads.
Really? That's pretty good. But I think, and this could be some sort of arbitrary statistic, I don't know, but I think 3 out of 5 weather or people you see on TV, meteorologists, are graduates of Mississippi State.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder why meteorology department's so good.
I don't know. I think almost every school that is mildly reputable has 1 to however many programs that are just randomly off the charts good for no apparent reason.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
it's
do
like,
know what you mean.
Why do we associate meteorology with Mississippi State? I don't know. It just kind of happened. I'm sure there's an actual reason, but for day-to-day people, I don't know. It just kind of happened. Why does,
Well, meteorology is such an interesting science. Because, I mean, your job is to predict the weather. But there's also this, like, public face to it, broadcast meteorology, where you have to go and basically present to the world in live time your research that you're doing. Like, the whole thing is a pretty interesting process. And, we need to shine some light out there on the meatheads.
This one's for you, meatheads. This one's for you.
If they don't have a t-shirt that says the meatheads,
they're missing out.
They're missing
out. But yeah, weather was fun. It was interesting.
Yeah. By the way, I had to go and hide in my closet during
That's
this
always
tornado.
fun. I wasn't in town for the first bout of tornadoes, and I was leaving town as the second one rolled in. So, and I missed it by that much.
I discovered a few things in my closet while I was hiding there.
Tell us about it.
Rat droppings.
Oh, good.
Oh, and I was like, oh, man.
You gotta love a good rat dropping.
Yeah.
That's a quote right there.
That is a quote. So we took everything out of my closet and we had to hide. Me, Gentry, and this other girl, we were hiding in our closet.
As you can tell, Seth is a ladies' man. He and two ladies.
Two famales.
Famales.
Yeah, well, a bunch of the other guys were at the bars. I was definitely here watching the weather, and we had to take everything out of our closet.
That tells you a lot about Seth, doesn't it?
It does. And we took everything out of our closet. We put up folding chairs, and it was so hot in there because our water heater's in there, and it's like
Sure, that's why it was hot.
And there were these rat droppings everywhere, so I felt so embarrassed. But me and my roommate eventually took everything out, set up some rat traps.
Yeah.
And we're good now. I just wanted to share.
I'm glad. Did you get a rat?
No. They're either too smart for us, or there were never any rats, and it's all a lie.
I planted those. Yeah, I bet the rats are outsmarting two engineering students. That could be what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, it probably is.
That's probably what's happening. But yeah, so it's been a little while since we've been back. I've had, topics and conversations on my mind that I've been thinking about.
You've been mulling over.
But one, people seem to like our podcast, which is fun.
That's great.
So you can find us on YouTube. We're looking into expanding into other places. Don't quote me on that.
Well, probably will.
But we probably will. So we're looking at doing that. And it's just been really rewarding and gratifying to see this little thing that you and I do on the side of being students. I don't know.
Yeah.
That people seem to enjoy it and like it because we very much enjoy it. So if you like it, let us know.
Follow us on Instagram and
email us.
But
we already talked about that. But
we already talked about
yeah. So anyway, just wanted to say that. So thank you to all of y'all who listen.
Yeah.
Because y'all are great. But besides that, and I don't know if this is an appropriate question.
Connor, that's an inappropriate question right there. Just say it.
All right, so this is something that's very near and dear to my heart, and I got into a heated debate about it with both males and females last night.
Oh, God. What is it?
Butt or boobs?
What?
I said butt or boobs.
Oh!
Yeah.
I thought you said what are boobs. I was going to tell you it's a clump of mammalian tissue with a little duct that runs through it.
Yeah.
It goes to this thing called the nipple.
Thanks for that sound effect.
Anyways, butt or boobs?
Yeah, it's an important question, and I felt like we needed to I felt like we really needed to set our answers in stone here by
without
recording
being total. Like, this is just our opinion.
It's just our opinion, and
Okay.
I was in a discussion with a mixed group of both men and women of all different races last night.
Good.
And we all had differing opinions, and we all hugged it out afterward. So, this doesn't have to be a polarizing issue.
Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously I have a strong opinion on this, and I'm just going to tell it to you straight. Boobs are out of style.
Okay.
Nobody wants big boobs anymore.
Okay.
They're a pain in the ass.
Okay. They cause back issues.
They cause back issues.
And this is two men that, are speaking on this.
Right, right. So you want boobs up to a point, but there's a diminishing return, and it comes a lot sooner than you think.
It's exponential rather than linear.
Yes.
Is
I'm
what
going
you're
to
saying.
say C's.
Okay.
C's and then diminishing return.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just being honest. In today's
thanks for your
streamlined
honesty
economy,
yeah, I appreciate that.
Smaller, leaner, perkier. That's the style. Okay, but ass, on the other hand, has this weird social phenomenon.
It does. There is a social phenomenon.
You can just keep going bigger, and then people just keep making it work. And you know, this is okay. When you look at Kim Kardashian, you're like, your body is so unproportional, it's scary, and you've definitely had a ton of work done back there. Okay?
Yeah, a lot
but
of
at the
back
same
there
time,
work.
like, she's the sex symbol of our culture right now.
Is she?
Yes.
That's kind of sad.
Who else?
I mean, like, I can't think of anybody off the top of my head.
Connor, you don't read enough Cosmo.
You're right. I don't read any Cosmo. It's not that I don't read enough. I don't read any. I'm inclined to agree with you. I've been in the booty camp for a long time.
Booty camp's a good camp.
Yeah, it's a good camp to be in. It's a comfortable place to be. They take care of you there. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means. But I felt like we really needed to record our answers in stone. But if you disagree,
yeah, let
you're
us know.
probably wrong.
Okay, I'm gonna say.
But drop it in the comments.
I'm not saying that you're a bad guy if you're a boob guy. I think there have been a lot of great men in this country who have been boob guys. George Washington, probably a boob guy.
George Washington was a boob guy.
Abraham
Can confirm.
Lincoln, probably a boob guy.
Yeah.
Let's be.
With a beard like that, you have to be.
Yes. You know.
Again, don't know what that means either.
But JFK. I'm just.
Why is it only presidents?
Well, they have some other famous.
Ellen, probably a boob girl.
That's a good one. I haven't thought about Ellen. Yeah, she probably would be. But today's society, Connor, has moved towards the ass in ways unseen, and it's almost like the modern convergence of technology, but anatomically larger butts.
Yeah, are the move.
Yes, Moore's law. You know, things double every year.
Yeah,
it's happening.
Are they doubling?
Yes, and I think it's because plastic surgery is getting a lot better. Okay, It all relates to the medical field. I follow a lot of plastic surgery Instagrams, and this is the trend. You know,
it's all booty work.
It's all booty work because it's getting better. There are like fat transplantations you can do now where they'll take fat from your stomach,
where it's basically natural, but just not.
I mean, it's definitely unnatural, but it's like you can fill it with natural stuffing.
Yeah. We're gonna hit you with this natural stuffing.
And breast implants have been around for 50 years.
Yeah.
And the technology is just not advancing. Like a boob job today is pretty similar to a boob job a while ago. It's just the material slightly better. But our technology for like sculpting people's bodies is getting so much better.
Why do you think we do that as people, both men and women?
Get cosmetic surgery.
We'll get cosmetic surgery. Obviously, like if you have a cosmetic issue, if you have a deviated septum, if you've got breathing issues with your nose, if you have a cleft palate, if you know,
right,
something like that, like yes, plastic surgery to that is more than a cosmetic thing, but purely cosmetic surgeries.
Yeah.
Do you think it's only a social thing of this world and popular culture tells people they have to look a certain way, or do you think that even if that didn't exist, there would be people out there that were like, yeah, hook me up?
So, one Jewish political commentator that I listen to, Ben Shapiro, talks about...
Who else?
Yeah, I know, the only one.
Yeah.
There's like a Jewish law where you are allowed to get cosmetic surgery if it's going to prevent you from being married. But other than that, no.
Oh.
That's kind of, I guess, the Orthodox Jewish stance on it.
Interesting.
Which I think is pretty interesting. Today's society is definitely super into being perfect, and I think our ultra picture-centric society has definitely pushed us to have very specific features. I mean, you got to have like the perfect nose, you got to have the perfect skin, you got to have the perfect teeth, you got to have the perfect everything. And it's also medical technology is getting so good, and the way our medical system is structured, specifically in America, cosmetic surgeries means insurance won't cover it, and so doctors make a killing.
Yeah,
so they're more willing to do it, and there's a lot of research done into hair implants. How can I make your butt bigger? It's like the vices of surgery.
Yeah,
it
like, really is.
I mean, you're selling cigarettes and alcohol, but it's
surgery.
Procedures. It's like, yeah.
Cosmetic plastics, the cigarettes and alcohol of the medical field.
It is.
Yeah. No, I can get behind that analysis.
I mean, why do you think people do it?
I think that I mean, obviously it'd be super easy to put people in a box here. But if it's for a purely cosmetic, I think it's a confidence that I think there are some people who are affected by the pressures of society, and I feel
Mm-hmm.
like that's almost regional. Like I feel like if you're in Los Angeles, California, your pressure to have the perfect body is going to
Right.
be higher than it is in the foothills of Kentucky or something like that,
Absolutely.
or Mississippi for that matter. So I think regionally there's different pressures, but I also think that for some people it's a confidence and insecurity thing, and it's okay. I've got the means to do this, so I'm gonna make myself what I personally view as more desirable. Whether that's I'm gonna touch up my nose, I'm gonna suck some fat out of one part of my body and then shove it into another part of my body.
What else say like that?
Well, when you say it like that, there are so many weird things that humans do that whenever you actually say it, you realize how weird it is.
I agree.
Like
Absolutely.
sleep.
Okay. I mean, now you just deactivate for 6 hours. What's the problem with that?
No, seriously, sleep. Have you ever thought about sleep?
Yes.
No, but I mean like
Like what
I
it
mean,
is.
really thought about it. This is something that nature and evolution and everything in between decided. Yeah, it's good for you to just be totally inept and whatever happens to you, pretty much.
Two theories I'm gonna throw out on sleep right now.
Uh-huh.
One, without sleep, randomly somehow because biology, we would die like half as quickly.
Oh yeah, no, we need sleep for sure.
But like if we were programmed to just run and run and run and run and run, I feel like we would all die at 30. Second, this is evolutionary. This is an evolutionary advantage because all the people that deactivated for 6 hours didn't go out at night and hurt themselves.
Okay,
My two
that's
theories.
fair. But also,
Go for
you're
it.
deactivated for 6 to 8 hours.
Yes.
You are laying there. Your eyes are closed. You are dead to the world. If we're talking, anyone could come up and kill you.
Yep.
An animal could come. I mean, we forget that like there is still the wild around us. Like in the sense that if you go out into nature
And then just go to sleep in the woods.
and go to sleep in the woods, like shit's getting real potentially, right? And so sleep is just so weird to me because one, I think about, oh, what could I do with all of that time? You sleep for a third of your life on average, right? Um, all that lost time, and just the fact that it's so weird, and we all love it so much. There's no one who doesn't like sleep.
Yeah.
In the sense
can
of
see
like
that.
the feeling that it gives you. They may not like that it seems inefficient and weird, but I was watching some YouTube videos on this, and what's really interesting is that post during the Enlightenment era and Shakespeare and that world, sleep was spoken of as though it was the best thing. Like Shakespeare would call it the sweet honeydew of sleep. There were other writers who spoke of it as it was the best thing ever, as it is. But then you get into post-industrial, the world is industrializing, right? And you'll have leaders speak of sleep as this inefficiency. There's a famous quote of "You can sleep when you're dead," right? So sleep had this change.
And I know this randomly, but Benjamin Franklin, which I guess he would be considered more Enlightenment, more post. Well, maybe I don't know when it. Whatever. He slept in two different stages, and it was very common back then to sleep in like
Yeah.
2 4-hour cycles and get
Yeah.
stuff done in between, then sleep through 1 8-hour cycle.
Yeah, that was a trend for a little while. They weren't called micro sleeps, but it was like short sleeps, of 4 or so hours, and then you would get up and work and do stuff, and then
Go back to sleep.
go back to sleep for 4 more hours, and that was kind of kind of your MO. And today's society has either turned to what college students and teenagers do, which is stay up till 3 a.m. and then wake up at noon or
Get
1.
5 hours of sleep maybe on a school night, and then crash over the weekend.
And nap and then sleep all weekend and do it again. But that just has to do with people's circadian rhythms and how they work. I think people think of sleep as this thing that it's one size fits all, but it's very much not. Some people need 6 to function properly. Some people have to get 8 to function properly. Certain people don't get tired until 3 a.m. Certain people get tired at 9 p.m. It just kind of depends. And it's something that I have found to be very interesting because sleep is so weird. And your brain starts doing weird stuff. You start dreaming, even though you don't remember half those dreams. Sleep studies suggest that we are always dreaming while we're sleeping.
Yeah. There's a lot of crazy stuff that happens when you go to sleep, especially at the brain level, when you can literally pick out like the alpha, beta, and theta waves that happen when you go to sleep, and we can identify the different parts of sleep based on just how crazy your brain is being.
It's weird.
And how your body literally has to paralyze you while you sleep, or else you would get up and just throw punches
You'd be
stuff.
throwing punches.
You'd be doing a lot of... I mean, there are a lot of processes that have to happen to your body to allow sleep to happen.
Yeah.
Your heart rate slows down, your brain gets all haywire, your body takes over your breathing, takes over all your processes, and just kind of lets your brain sit. And it's not just like we do it, like other animals obviously sleep as well.
Yeah.
So it's not a human thing.
Yeah. I would agree. It's just weird. But all that being said, what I did learn a little bit about is that whenever you prevent yourself from getting deep sleep, your body will steal consciousness from you while you think you're awake. Your brain will do that in order to get the deep
just
sleep
start sucking the life out of you.
And it will have micro sleeps.
Like a Dementor. Is that when you see people nodding off in class?
That's what's happening.
Oh,
that's what's happening.
Microsecond of sleep.
Yeah.
There's one topic that I wanted to discuss.
Let's do it. I would love to.
If you want to just move on to something else, but it's kind of related. We had these graduate student presentations in our biochem class, and someone presented a really interesting research proposal on addiction. Okay. And her whole thing is she works at this addiction center. Her thing was on the opioid crisis, and it literally...
Which is crazy in America.
Awful, especially in our state.
Is it bad in Mississippi?
Yeah, it's really bad.
Okay. I know it's really bad nationally.
And her whole thing was on the idea of addiction as a disease and not a personal responsibility issue. So her argument was basically that regardless of whether it is personal responsibility or not, like your brain is being hijacked, and once you pass that threshold, there's no getting back over without a regimen, and regardless of how much you want to bring morals into it, it's just not going to solve it. And the only way to solve it efficiently is to classify it as a disease and treat people like they have an illness, and not just, look, dude, you need to get off these opiates.
Yeah. Huh. You want my opinion on that?
Yeah.
How I feel about it as addiction as a disease?
Is addiction a disease, or is it a lapse in personal responsibility?
All right, well, I'll say this. I am not qualified to speak on this, but I will give you my opinion. I think that there are people who are inherently more at risk of addiction than there are others. I think that
totally
if you're in a community where drug use is extremely common and drug abuse is extremely common, I think that just automatically puts you higher on the risk list of
genetic factors too.
Yeah, and genetically there are certain people who respond more heavily to certain chemical reactions within their system, right? So I don't think that if you're addicted to anything, well, I won't say anything. There are some things that you could be addicted to that would make you morally a bad person, like murder. If you're addicted to murder, if you're AKA a serial killer, you're a bad person. But I think if you're addicted to some sort of drug, even if it's, cocaine or heroin, or I don't think that makes you a bad person. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that you are a criminal. I mean,
Like, you mean having the urge to do
yeah,
drugs in itself is not a bad thing,
it's
but
the
maybe.
results of that are a bad thing. And
Do you
I
think
shouldn't say
acting
I
on it
don't
is a
think
bad
you are
thing?
a criminal, because obviously that is criminal behavior. But I don't think that just you're a heroin. If someone's a heroin addict, oh, you're a bad person. No, I don't think that that's fair.
Okay, you can look at the whole picture.
But as far as addiction being a disease, what the other theory is? It's a moral shortcoming. Is that the other?
Yeah, so the idea is, what do we do with someone who's addicted to opiates? How do you help them? And one idea is to put them through counseling and say, like, look, this is bad because of this reason, and try and logically reason with them and just basically isolate them from the drug. And the other idea is to try and retrain their brain to
Mm-hmm.
use a lot of new things and new techniques. And it all sounds great, but the ultimate problem is the guy still did drugs.
Yeah.
Like, it was his choice to go and get
That was my
hooked on
that was my
heroin.
question. Is what's our definite? I'm not plugged into the medical community very well,
Hmm.
and so how are we classifying a disease? I was under the impression that a disease was either something outside of your body that has come and hijacked and it's contagious among people, something like that, or it is something biologically has gone wrong
Right.
in your system. Right? To me, drug use, the only way, like addiction, that could be attributed to something going wrong within your body, as if you don't have proper um, risk assessment abilities. That's
Hmm.
the that. But to
Like,
me, that becomes, oh, you have a mental issue, rather. Well, you have the disease of addiction.
hmm.
I think the disease of addiction, if or I would say addiction, I don't know that I can call it a disease, but I could call it a result of mental health issues, which in their own right could be considered a disease. Um,
Right. So, I mean, you have this. Let's say you have a genetic predisposition to alcohol, where if you take one sip of alcohol, you're going to be an alcoholic. Okay.
is that real?
There is a thing where you can have genetic
Yeah,
predispositions.
I know that
Obviously,
there
it
are
would take
addictive personalities.
it is a thing. There are genetic factors that can link to this kind of stuff, and stress can add to that. But the question is, like, is it your fault for having that sip of alcohol that put you over the edge and now you're an alcoholic? Obviously, if it's like one or two drinks and you're an alcoholic, obviously it seems like, no, that's not a reasonable thing. But where's the line drawn? Like, if I'm someone who after my 1,000th drink become an alcoholic, then you would probably say, like, oh, you did it to yourself.
Hmm.
But, like, where do you draw that
Yeah,
line?
it's very gray. That's not a black and white kind of deal, is it?
Right. And
Um,
it's very easy to blame the whoever made this. Like, it's easy to blame alcohol, and that I think that's
yeah,
what they did
yeah,
in the 20s
yeah.
with prohibition.
With
Is they said
prohibition,
our husbands are a bunch of alcoholics and spending all of our money on stuff, so we're gonna ban it.
what a fail! Prohibition.
It really was.
Prohibition is honestly, it's like even with marijuana, prohibition causes THC levels in marijuana to rise, which is the addictive chemical in and one of the main psycho, like if someone is addicted to marijuana, which a lot of people who are pro marijuana will argue that marijuana is not addictive, but there
Hmm.
is data that suggests otherwise. However, anyway,
It's the weirdest drug ever. It has
yeah.
qualities of a
It
depressant, stimulant, hallucinogenic.
And it depends on what's in that particular strain of
Sativa,
yeah.
indica, there are all kinds of different factors.
And so what prohibition has done to marijuana is that people don't know what's in that plant, and
Hmm.
dealers, and it's becoming legalized. It's more and more mainstream now, but beforehand, and in states where it's still not legalized, you'll have dealers that breed for THC levels.
Hmm.
So I think before marijuana became a Is it class 1
It's a
controlled
Schedule 1.
Schedule 1 controlled substance?
Along with heroin.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
Not with cocaine. Like, not not anything bad. Schedule 1 means it has no medical purpose.
Which is crazy. Because marijuana obviously has
apparently
medical.
cocaine has medical.
It apparently does. It apparently does.
If you're just losing your focus,
yeah.
I guess.
You're losing. I mean, have you seen Wolf of Wall Street?
Yeah, I'm amazed that they used to put coke in Coca-Cola.
Yeah,
you know,
cocaine
like
and Coca-Cola.
The
coca leaf, baby.
They would put morphine in
that
random
shit
shit
was
too.
good.
Yeah, kids were crazy for it.
The kids
loved it.
The kids loved that cocaine.
Loved that cocaine cola.
Coca-Cola, that cocaine cola. Yeah. That's funny. That's not funny, but that's funny.
Yeah.
That we just humans have come so far, but we're gonna look back in 100 years and be like, those apes.
100 years ago, people were doing some wild shit, Connor. They were doing some wild shit. Like alcohol was illegal, gambling was illegal, everything was illegal, but everyone did everything. There were mobsters running around. This was like the Roaring 20s when everybody was just spending money on everything, and America was beautiful.
It was all gilded. Everything was
gilded. No, I mean 100 years ago, like the 19-teens and 20s, that just seems forever ago. You know,
it's just because we've advanced very quickly.
Yes,
in many respects, we have advanced very quickly.
And you think like that 100 years ago, that was like 100 years, and then another 100 years, and then like our country was founded.
That's crazy. America's a baby.
Yeah. Like we go back to 1900, and then 1900 goes to 1800, and then like what 25 years before that, our country was founded. Like what?
Yeah. The strongest country in the world was founded
like 230 years ago. It's crazy. Anyways,
well, it's like 2 people ago.
Yeah.
2.5 people ago, basically.
Like there's probably a tortoise still alive back then.
Probably.
That George Washington laid eyes on.
I was watching, it was either Animal Planet or National Geographic or something like that, and they were looking for old turtles in like the Amazon.
It's such a Nat Geo thing.
Yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed it.
Hunt
they went on a turtle hunt.
Crikey.
And they found this turtle, and it might have been in America. I think it was in America, actually. Does America have old turtles?
Maybe Florida has old turtles.
Anyway, I don't know. But they found this turtle that had a bullet in its shell.
Oh.
And they pulled it out, and it was dated back during the Civil War.
Oh my god.
Like, that's how old this turtle was whenever it took a bullet and said, I don't care.
The Civil War.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That would have been such a weird time to be alive.
1865?
Just think about that now. If half of America, and just half of America was like, yeah, we don't want to be America anymore, and then America started fighting.
Well, let me put it this way. What if like the entire West and Texas, like California, Oregon,
Texas
Washington,
doesn't stick with the East.
Nevada, Utah, and Texas just go off and become West America.
Welcome to West America.
Westmacca and Texas.
Westmacca and Texas. Yeah, if anybody does,
that would be crazy.
I mean, if America's gonna break up in any way, I feel like Texas and California are gonna want to be their own countries.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they'd want to go along with anybody else, especially themselves. Texas and California couldn't agree on anything.
You're right. But like
California, in this fictional war, California would be on one side and Texas would be on the other. That's a guarantee.
I mean, the problem is, like, as much as I'm sure the California National Guard is amazing, I don't think they're going to win against the U.S. military.
No
chance. So
the Texas National Guard could.
The Texas National Guard, on the other hand, includes every citizen of Texas.
Yeah, exactly.
So
They're all packing heat.
everybody's packing over there. But yeah, none of the liberal lollipops are gonna fight the American war.
I mean, if you look at like the electoral maps from if America splits, it would obviously be down party lines, liberal versus conservative.
You think that's how we split? Like if we split into two different?
Probably. I don't think we. Which obviously immediately gives the upper hand to the conservatives because we have more land mass and it splits the two coasts, which is where most liberals
Yes, rural districts. Yes.
And even
yeah.
though the
Okay.
liberal areas would have more population and arguably better economies.
So the winner of the war versus the middle of America versus the other two ends, two strategic things you got to take care of. Panama Canal, number one. Also important, Canada.
All right, let's explain that.
Because if you're California, how are you getting things to New York, right? If California and New York are on the same side.
No, that's what I'm saying.
How are you going to get it? You got to go either north around Canada or Panama Canal or around South America, which good luck, the pirates will get you anyways.
Yeah. Well, okay, so this is my thing. Panama Canal's off the table because the conservatives are they have the Gulf of Mexico easy.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Which gives us, we can naval blockade that Atlantic, just anything coming from South America down there.
You know, that's interesting.
Easy.
But where are the ports in Middle America? I mean, they're a bunch of landlocked
New
states.
Orleans.
It'd be New Orleans, Galveston,
And then you
Florida.
have Vicksburg. It was huge in the Civil War. It'll be
I don't-
huge in Civil War Round 2.
Civil War Round 2. I don't know. It'd be interesting. We would have a lot of food, the middle of America.
Yeah.
We'd have some ports, but I think as far as foreign support, the place with the United Nations, New York, would be pretty advantageous, and I think they would send a lot of supply lines over the Atlantic, and that would cause problems.
I think that would cause problems. But I also think Russia would just be down for the conservatives.
Russia would be so down.
Russia and potentially even China. So it would be superpowers versus the rest of the world.
Nukes going off everywhere. There would have to be.
See, I don't think America's gonna nuke its own soil.
No, but I bet China would be like, "Hey, man, can we get you some nukes? would you just like some to feel comfortable?" I bet you would.
I bet you'd like a couple nukes just to make sure everyone's even here.
That would be a really interesting scenario.
But there's a whole genre of books about this kind of stuff where people game out how stuff like this would work.
Interesting.
It's super interesting, and there's a YouTube channel, I think it's called Alternate History Hub, where
history?
A hub of history, where they will war game out these scenarios of what could happen. And it's like in the Civil War, what would have happened if this one battle went differently? Mm-hmm. In World War II, what would have happened if this went differently? You know, it's things like that. But I think if America was to have another Civil War, I think one thing that could really make people want to secede is if people try and get rid of the Second Amendment. No lie. I think if there's a legitimate push to get rid of the Second Amendment, the Southeast is out quick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see the Second Amendment being under threat.
I don't either. I'm just thinking of things. What are a couple things that conservatives are super passionate about? One is their guns.
This is totally not serious, but it'd be hilarious to see something secede over weed.
Man.
Stoners' rights, you know?
Stoners' rights.
Stoners'
Colorado says, we're done.
Colorado.
We are done.
Colorado, Washington, like Vermont, they all leave and just start smoking it up.
It's over. We are done here.
That'd be fun.
Welcome to the United Weed of Marijuana. Welcome to the country of cannabis.
Welcome to Weedland.
Speaking of that, this is very off topic, but Seth and I are geniuses.
Brilliant men.
I'm saying that tongue in cheek, but Seth and I came up, and this was before it was cool. This was in 2016.
Yes.
Yeah. It was in 2016. Before anything like this existed. You can go ahead and steal the idea now.
Why not?
Cannabis Crate.
Monthly
delivery.
Cannabis, subscription-based.
Blunt of the Month Club.
A subsection.
Partnership with Taco Bell and or Pizza Hut.
2 great licensing deals. Delivery.
Absolute bags. We would have made bags.
Yeah, and it's scary because everybody's advertising their Cannabis of the Month stuff now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang. And there were we looked into it. There are problems with distributing marijuana. There's problems.
As the whole, it's illegal federally thing.
Yeah, so it's not like the U.S. Post Office is going to handle that stuff. I mean, you basically have to deliver yourself. I'm not even sure how these companies are doing it, honestly.
Yeah, you'd have to have a lot of overhead for vehicles.
Because if you're FedEx, it's not like you can ship it to your main center. It would all have to stay in whatever state and then go to whatever city.
You think FedEx has a weed hub?
If they were smart, they would. If they would have the Colorado branch. And it would be distinctly different from the other branches. It would have no supply lines.
Smell mildly of skunks inside.
Yeah. So,
but
lost business opportunity.
We gamed that thing out. We thought about it. The name is great. Cannabis Crate.
So good.
It's
Blunt
so
of the
good.
Month Club.
And
I know.
If we were a little bit older and lived in California or Colorado, we would be multimillionaires right now.
Absolutely.
But we live in Mississippi, and we were 17 and 18.
And the world just
wasn't ready. They weren't ready for the greatness.
No.
They're still not ready. That's why this hasn't blown up yet. But when this podcast blows up, then they'll be ready.
Connor, I hope when we're rich and famous,
because that's happening.
When that happens, I hope we start a Blunt of the Month Club, just to prove
that we could do it,
or get together and invest in something, and then call it Blunt of the Month Club.
It's not associated with marijuana whatsoever. We just call it
Buy a library and just say, "This is the Blunt Library."
The Blunt Library. Yeah. It was a great idea. It was a great plan. All that being said, obviously a civil war in America would be a terrible thing.
Yeah, no.
Let's not do that, America.
These are all fun hypotheticals.
Civil war. It's a nice, fun hypothetical. I love a good Civil War hypothetical.
Well, this is a modern day Civil War over weed.
You think?
Fun.
I don't think that anyone would secede over weed because the states can already do what they want to do because the federal government doesn't care enough to get rid. Doesn't care enough.
Now it's kind of different.
What do you mean?
Well,
you think Jeff Sessions cares?
Yes.
He does care.
He does care. But, enforcement's kind of whatever. I don't think that the Washington state government's being very cooperative with the DEA right now.
Yeah.
I think it's like, hey, here you got weed. What weed? What? No, there's no weed in our state.
Hides the Doritos under there.
Everybody's over there just munching on some Taco Bell. What? No, dude.
No.
Nah, bro. Yeah, So, anyways, fun hypotheticals.
Alternate history in general. Fun topic to get into.
Fun topics. But, okay. What would you rate Heaven Hill after sitting with it?
I didn't drink anymore. I didn't want to drink anymore. But I drank all that I had. Seth just poured me over half of what he poured himself.
Oh, God. Ugh. It's so bad.
It's just sterile. It's just...
I think you hit the nail on the head there.
It's just sterile.
Yeah. Yeah. Wound cleaner.
Did I give it a 3.5?
Give it a 3.5.
I'm going to drop it to a 3. And that's where I'm going to stay. But I expected worse.
I'm going to give it a 2.7.
That's where you're staying? That's your home? You found it? You're staying there?
I think I hit the right number.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, all that being said, we hope you enjoyed learning about weather, sleep, the American Civil War,
addiction, and Heaven Hill
whiskey.
$2 pints.
Yeah, but email us if you've got any questions, comments, concerns, sarcastic remarks, anything in between at nonsense, then capital N, nothingness at gmail.com. We will be sure to get back to you.
We'll get right back on it.
And follow us on Instagram at nonsense and nothingness. We post the whiskeys there so that you can drink along with us.
Connor is an amazing Instagram artist, amazing filter producer.
Thank you. I've never done it before. I don't really know what I'm doing, but
no, Connor, don't say that out loud.
I'm a professional.
We'll edit that out.
Perfect.
Anyways,
we got to make sure Reed doesn't drink all this before we can post it.
If he does, we'll fill it with brown water.
Okay, brown water. We live in Mississippi. We can find some brown water.
We'll just use tap water, yeah.
We'll just use the tap water.
It looks like whiskey.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right, guys. We will be back next week.
Absolutely.
Hope you enjoyed the podcast.
See you on the other side.
Bye.
Bye. Be nothing.